I'm going to explain the 3.4 Scope Management Mental Map. As you can see, we have 13 subthemes, and I'm going to explain each one of them. First, I'm going to start with lead management objectives. This is to ensure that the project has all the necessary characteristics to complete the project, and also for a better understanding of the project too. This will eliminate the unnecessary work. Then we have number 2, which is the scope statement. This consists of small letters that are made for each deliverable and to break them down. It's important to use the SMART method, which means specific, measurable, agreed, realistic, and on time. Then we have the scope statement tools. This has to do with the percentage of the completed task, the pending task, the missed milestones, and the program performance index. Then 4 is the app deliverables. Each project phase has 2 types of deliverables, the projects and the app deliverables. Either can be formal or informal, but some of them are necessary required. Then we have 5, which is the project lifecycle. The project lifecycle are divided into phases with deliverables and sub-deliverables. It's common for each project to have a life cycle where it starts, develops, and it ends. Then we have number 6, which is the phase deliverable. Phase is applied in cases where the product or service can only be delivered once the product requires a significant development of time, and it's not strictly related to the product. Then we have 7, which is the scope statement. This is a written document that specifies the scope of the project. Depending on the complexity of the product, the scope statement may be in a section of the project plan or just an individual document. Then we have 8, which is the capacity saving. Here we talk about the organization products, the savings, the planning, the money, and also the times and the agile schemes. Then we have 9, which is the value engineering. This is a method to solve the problems and reduce costs while improving the performance and the quality of the product. It can be applied in any business, economic sector, the industry, government, construction. It can be a lot of places where it can be applied. Then we have 10, which is the WBS. This is a tool used for analytic breakdown of a project into elemental parts. The goal here is to organize the work easily. That's it. And also to communicate the stakeholders, the phases, and the activities that will lead to the final project. Then we have the WBS tools. This organizes and defines the total scope of the project by the deliverables structure. We have 12, which is the relationship between the charter, the scope declaration, and the WBS. The charter describes the project deliverables and gives the whole visualization. And the scope statement states that the deliverables are what is expected from them. And the WBS defines what the end of the project and what is the control of the project too. Then lastly, we have the common practice scope statement and the stage of work, which is number 13, the last one. And this talks about providing comprehensive and detailed information about the scope of the project and also the deliverables. This document specifically addresses the project scope description, the acceptance criteria, deliverables, exclusions, the constraints, and also the project assumptions. Now I'm going to talk about the 3.5 Human Resource Management Mental Map. This has 6 subthemes, and I'm going to explain each one of them. First, we're going to start with Objective of Human Resources Management. This is that employees achieve their own individual objectives while also doing what's best for the company. It's a win-win for the personal point of view and also for the company. The human resource of the company works so that the company obtains the benefits and also achieves a growth in the labor market. Then we have 2, which is profile and responsibilities of the sponsor and of the manager. First, I'm gonna start with the sponsor. The sponsor is part of the company. He makes the important decisions. He's an owner, so he supports the work in approving the projects and assigning goals to the manager. Meanwhile, the manager is the leader of the project and is also the one who's guiding the employees as well as assigning the tasks to them. Then we have 3, which is the organizational chart. This is used to define the line of authority as well as the employee and the company management. It is used during the development of the plan and it is modified as it goes on. Then we have 4, which is the roles and functions matrix. This is a tool that helps to integrate and it also allows us to relate the people involved in the requirements so that each of one gives the best of their knowledge and offer in the indicated area of the work. Then we have 5, which is the roles and functioning matrix tools. It is the planning that integrates the roles of the employees with their tasks in the organization, and it involves WBS. Lastly, we have 6, which is roles and functions matrix of the app or APP. This tool depends a lot of WBS because if the scope is not complete, then deliverables cannot be assigned to any person or the organization.
Hi, my name is Julian C, and I'm gonna talk about chapter 3.6, which is communication management. Communication management consists of achieving effective communication between those involved and ensuring the timely and appropriate generation, collection, distribution, archiving, and final disposal of project information. The amount of information that we transmit depends a lot on each client, on each project, so it's necessary to plan both the contents and the frequencies, as well as to consider the people involved in the project's communications with the help of the communication matrix and various tools within the same team. And then we can support ourselves with event calendars and enable a complete graphical perspective of the most relevant events in the entire calendar of the plan. We also have to design a format with content in general through the development of the project, produce and distribute according to the communication matrix throughout the plan. Hi, my name is Julian C, and I'm gonna talk about time management, which are the processes required to ensure that the project ends according to the schedule. One of the most important functions in project management concerns the planning and control of the duration of the project. Its program is extremely important, since it provides integration over time to coordinate the work of all members. Time management is important to finish the project on time, obtain a continuous workflow, avoid confusion and misunderstandings, provide accurate and timely reports, etc. One of the tools to carry out all these is the leveling of resources. With this, we can calculate the duration of the activities based on the amount of resources assigned. Another one of the necessary tools for this is the fast track. In many projects, we need to achieve early completion dates, so we resort to the fast track scheme, which considers starting the next phase without having finished the predecessor. The fast track scheme has proven to be of great use and benefit.
Now we are going to talk about cost management. The main objective of cost management is to ensure that the project is completed within the approved budget. A couple of tools that we can use to accomplish this are cost estimating, a baseline budget, and expenditure schedule. It is important to remember that when we design our cost structure, we must consider the WBS as how we will measure project costs. This because in any project we work, the WBS will be the backbone of our project. Also, when the time comes to prepare our cost estimate, there are a few steps that we should consider. The first one is that we should obtain the unit cost of each task, then multiply this cost for each category by the number of each category of resources or quantities that we have in our project, add those costs for the total project or by phase as we require or as we decide, and then we shall calculate the percentage of the total for each of these items, steps or phases that we have in our project. Also, we have certain sources of information that we can use to estimate costs, and they are historical information, and it can be the files from a previous project. We can do a market research, and we can check on databases. Of these three options, usually the most reliable and easy to get is the historical information that we can obtain from the company itself.
Hi, I'm Mirko Lopez Felix Moreno, and I will first talk about the quality management. I made a mental map about quality management, and I divided it into 5 sections. The first one is quality, that here we need to satisfy the quality standards that are relevant to the project to determine how to satisfy them. Next, we have the needs. It is one of the main objectives of quality management, and we have to make sure that our project satisfies those needs since the beginning by meeting requirements to complete the project. Then we have the cause-effect diagram, where here we can identify the root cause problem that can make us to lose time in our project. We can also have the activities that help us to understand the root cause problem, and those activities help us to solve the root cause problem. So by doing those activities, we have results to avoid root cause problems or to eliminate them. Then we have management. That is, this focuses on two things: responsibilities and services. Here, the responsibilities are a main part of the project, and also a major part because it is where you organize every role, and you can also put and designate the services needed to develop the management. Then we have quality grade, and here we have which are certain requirements to meet the expected quality of the standards. So when we're buying, we can help to develop a project with the products that we're buying, so we can have the best quality of them. Here I made another mental map about risk management, and here I divided it in 4 sections. The first section is the risks, because they are the main reason the risk management exists. We can have different types of risk, like operational, like financial, and strategic risks. In the operational risk, we can have, for example, a failure on a mechanism of the project. And a financial one can be a problem in our budget, that we overspend money and now we're in debt. That could be a risk. And the strategic one can be when we are discussing possible strategies to complete the project, and we make a decision that can be whether we are not sure that if it's good, and it can be bad for the project, and it could cause a lot of problems. And we have the risk management matrix. That is a very important part of the risk management, because we have to put the risks in an action plan. We have to identify opportunities, then possible answers, identify the manager. These help us to develop answers and designate roles to risk management. It includes all of what I said, and the action plan is the whole operation to take against the risks. The opportunities are another word to say threats can be presented on the project. And the possible answers are the answers that we can get by identifying the risks. And lastly, identifying the manager is just putting the role on someone that can handle the risks. Then I put the risk map. Here I divide it into sections. And here
Now we're going to talk about the administration of supply. The objective of supply management is to optimize the acquisition of goods and services external to the organization in charge of the project. The factors to consider when planning supplies are the numbers of contracts, the types of contracts, and the form of payment. There are 4 types of contracting schemes, which are the general provider fixed price contract, the general provider management contract, the turnkey design implementation fixed price, and at last the direct management of several providers. Also, there are 2 types of contractual relationship, which are the agent and the seller. The first one is the one that provides a specialized service and represents the client, staying out of conflict of interest. And the second one, which is the seller, is the person or company that provides a defined product or service at a certain price. If the contract is extended, he earns more money and the client pays an additional cost. At last, we have that the tool used is the supply matrix, which allows defining how each work package will be contracted, ensuring that the entire WBS is covered. These also include jobs to be performed within the client's organization. Now we're going to talk about integration administration. Its objective is to ensure the different elements of the project are properly coordinated. We use 2 tools for its planning, which are the change control system and the lessons learned. The change control system is how the management team will respond to and manage project changes. The lessons learned allow the team to learn both from their achievements and their mistakes to seek better performance in their next experience. Now we got to develop a preliminary project plan. First, we got to do a list of contents to include, then review with the sponsor or client, clarifying any doubts before investing time in developing a preliminary plan. And finally, we got to prepare the preliminary project and document details of support. Now, to review the plan, we got to organize an informal meeting with the key stakeholders, then review with the sponsor or client to answer and clarify any questions, and at the end, we got to review the preliminary project. And to finish, we need the approval of the plan. So we gotta do is to present to the sponsor, the client, and the key stakeholders, and then we got to update the plan. And finally, when we have the authorization, we distribute according to the communication plan.